The base flange is the basic type of sheet metal feature. You can access it using the Insert Sheet Metal drop-down menu, or you can use the sheet metal toolbar. If you don't have the sheet metal toolbar active, you can right-click on the command manager from here. Just check the sheet metal option and the sheet metal toolbar is added. A base flange is a sketch-based feature, just like the extrude and revolve commands. This means a sketch is necessary to define the geometry you wish to create. As with any sketch-based feature, you can create a sketch first, or you can launch the command and a sketch will be started automatically, like I've done here. I'll create the sketch on the front plane. I'll create a U-shaped sketch that is 4 inches by 2 inches. This will serve as the overall shape of the sheet metal part. Notice that I don't need to use the sketch fillets on any of the corners. SOLIDWORKS will automatically convert sharp corners to round bends for me. SOLIDWORKS will also automatically create the thickness of the part, so a single open contour is all I need in this sketch. I'll exit the sketch, and the base flange command is launched. You see a preview of the feature, and the property manager shows all of the sheet metal options available. Now the first section is similar to the extrude command, where I can tell SOLIDWORKS the length, direction, and end condition of the extrusion. In this case, I'll define a 4-inch mid-plane extrusion. Now, I can define the sheet metal parameters. Now this is where I tell SOLIDWORKS how thick of a piece of sheet metal I'll be using and what bend radius I want. I'll set the thickness to 0.03 and the bend radius to 0.1. Notice the reverse direction checkbox under the thickness area. This will tell SOLIDWORKS to set the thickness on the outside or inside of the sketch. Oh, and by the way, the bend radius you specify is always the interior radius, whether you add material to the inside or outside. The next section is the bend allowance, which is where I tell SOLIDWORKS how the bend allowance is calculated. There are 5 types of bend allowance: bend table, K-factor, bend allowance, bend deduction, bend calculation. The default setting is K-factor. I'll leave this set at 0.5 for this example. Later, we'll examine K-factor and the other bend allowance options more thoroughly. At this point, I'd like to point out an option that I skipped above. Rather than manually specifying the thickness bend radius and K-factor for your sheet metal, you can instead enable the option to use a sheet metal gauge table. If I check the Use Gauge Table option, you can see I have a list of tables available. Now, these are provided by SOLIDWORKS. I'll select the aluminum table, and you can see I now have the option of selecting a gauge and bend radius as prescribed by the gauge table. The K-factor value is provided by the table as well. Notice each of these values also has an override option that allows me to replace the table-generated value with my own. For now, I'll clear the gauge table option and continue with the next set of options. The last portion of the sheet metal properties is the auto relief section. In sheet metal design, relief refers to the small cuts sometimes needed to allow sheet metal to bend appropriately. There are 3 types of relief available in SOLIDWORKS. They are rectangular, tear, and O-browned. Since this part doesn't require relief, we'll take a closer look at these options using a different example a bit later. I'll hit the green check, and you can see the complete base flange with the thickness and rounded corners added.